Hello and welcome back to another live stream. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. And yeah, we're back live after the last live. I was celebrating 500 wasn't celebrating 500 subscribers. We're trying to get that before the end of the year. I was celebrating my 21st birthday. And I was completely hammered. Today we're sober and we're actually going to do a stream properly. But big up to everyone. Make sure to leave a like as you jump into the stream as well. We're trying to hit 500 before the end of the year, as you lot know. We've got some West Ham stuff to talk about. There isn't really much news to talk about because we're hearing the same things every week, and it's becoming really mind-numbing and boring. To be completely honest with you, it's the same thing. We're considering this price for this player and all this nonsense. Much as I like the fact that we've done early business, we need to get a move on because this rebuild is important. And I'm not hearing this whole the window's only been open for this amount nonsense. I'm not trying to hear all of that. To be completely honest with you, I need business done. It's been a couple of weeks since Max Kilman was signed, so it's been a couple of weeks since we actually signed a player. Obviously, I missed the friendly yesterday. I was out, so I missed what happened in the Dagenham and Redbridge friendly. But feel free to tell me about the friendly anyway. But listen, we're going to get into some topics. Now, let's start with N'Golo Kante. I think everyone kind of knew, following on from the two videos I made, that N'Golo Kante was never really going to move to West Ham United. N'Golo Kante was kind of a borderline impossible deal to have just because of the wages he was already on anyway. But the fact that they want 25 million for him, I mean, fair enough. I mean, he is probably an asset towards that club, Al Nassr, in terms of, them in the Saudi league and stuff. He's a big player in general. But I always saw that as impossible due to the fact of his wages, etc. as well. But also because, if you want 25 million for a 34-year-old, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. It is what it is. Big up Jonathan, as usual. But yeah, I never saw Kante move into West Ham. I never saw that as a thing. But listen, we do still need a midfielder, but that kind of moves on to a topic I'm going to talk about later. But that would have been a pipeline dream until almost like a 2-year thing. It would have been good for a couple of years, but other than that, probably wouldn't have gone anywhere beyond that. That's why 50 million would have been fine for that, because 50 million is borderline peanuts, isn't it? But honestly, anything above that, nah. No. I don't know how many times I have to tell you, Chelsea lot. Conor Gallagher will never move to West Ham United ever again. There'll never be an interest. There will never be a link ever again or a link by an actual source, because David Moyes isn't here anymore. This manager actually likes players that can pass the ball. If we had Pochettino as manager, I'd be worried. But speaking of midfielders, Lewis Orford, a couple of clips, a couple of things, a couple of quotes, a couple of clips. He's obviously played in both of the preseason games, and he impressed me against Ferran Savaras or whatever the fuck they're called. And to be honest, I think Lewis Orford could make it. I think Lewis Orford could definitely make it. The reason why I think he could make it is because how he is so composed on the ball. He might not make it this season, but he can definitely play a part within the next couple. He's obviously got a lot to figure out, and I think we'll truly see some of these midfielders levels that are borderline coming through the academy and stuff like that, where we face people like Wolves and Crystal Palace. Maybe not at the most intensity of the Premier League, but they are Premier League opponents, so we can judge them better in those sort of games. I do wonder as well whether they'll be included within the Betway Cup game, where that's the final game of pre-season before the Premier League starts. And I think the midfield signing will unfortunately be a last-minute one because of the fact that we're monitoring our own players to see if they're good coming through. Obviously, people like Lewis Orford, people like Andy Irving, people like Freddie Potts. These seem to be the midfielders that are borderline, trying to break through the first team, etc. But let's get into a Lewis Orford quote. Big up to East London Hammers that posted the quote. He was talking about Lopetegui here. He likes to keep the ball a lot and switch it from one side to the other, which is a big part of my game. Off the pitch, I've enjoyed having chats with him and getting to know him, and I'm thankful for the chances he's given me. It's just all about taking them now. Now, we've heard quite a lot now, and we've actually seen a couple games where we can say how Lopetegui's going to play. You know, and we've seen it in a couple. We've seen it in a couple games. Obviously, I didn't watch the game yesterday, but especially in the first game where we're trying to play through the lines, we're trying to have our fullbacks almost hug the touchline and support our wingers and overlap. Our wingers were trying to cut in and shoot, run at them, express themselves. Midfield trying to control the game, and we do switch the ball from side to side. When that's why we kept switching it down to Patrick Kelly a lot when he was a midget, when he was the smallest person on the pitch, especially down the right hand side. So there was a lot of that going on, but that would probably work more once the team gels together and gets used to each other. I mean, speaking of right backs as well, like we need to get a move on with this right back situation with the Wan-Bissaka or the Kyle Walker-Peters. But Lewis Orford, very good at controlling ball, controlling games at youth level. Whether he could do it at first team level, we will see. I don't know if this stream is actually going to lag later on because my Mac is making a lot of noise because of how much it's been heated up. And how much I've used it today. I mean, there was this clip about Orford taking a dig at David Moyes. I watched the clip. I didn't really see it as a dig. I just saw it as a general comment, if I'm being completely honest. But anyway, if you want more confirmation of the N'Golo Kante thing, I wouldn't rely on someone like a Ben Jacobs, but he's kind of like a Z tier source. But he has quoted ex-West Ham employee, so we'll put it in. N'Golo Kante is now told Al Ittihad he's happy to stay. West Ham have seen a 15 million offer rejected. Ittihad don't want to sell. Meanwhile, West Ham interest in Milan's for Tomori is genuine. As ex-West Ham employee called, Tomori almost joined West Ham alone in summer 2020. That was around the time where we signed Craig Dawson. So it was around that sort of timeline. Obviously, we signed Craig Dawson, and that actually kind of worked better than expected. We wanted to sign Tomori, and he rejected us. So that was a shame at the time. I was gutted about that, but we seem to be interested in Fikayo Tomori again. Apparently, it's been a report by ex-West Ham employee. A lot of people are quoting it as like almost an emerging target. I don't think he's a main target centre back though. I think it's almost going to be run down once we maybe fail to go in for other centre backs or other offers fall through and other targets fall through, etc. But I don't see that happening. But I would ideally like him at the club if we can. But it's also, obviously, as we've been saying throughout the past few weeks as well, this also does depend on the sales of Nea Faged and Kurt Zuma as well. And it doesn't look like either of them are going anywhere. No one wants Zuma. I've only heard a couple clubs interested in Aged. And if Aged was to go, he has to go now. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty much too late to sign a centre-back. Like, what are you centre-back's targets? So, obviously, we were interested in Tadibo. He obviously wants to go to Juventus. Sole from Salzburg as well. Obviously, Jacob Greaves moved to Ipswich. So that's off the table as well. The Tadibo thing was very unrealistic in the first place. But Sole from Salzburg as well. So I think if there was anyone to sign as a centre-back, if one of the centre-backs was to go, it would be Sole because he's 15 million and it makes sense. But apparently he was left out of the Salzburg squad in the last pre-season game, but I don't think that has anything to do with us. Because sometimes players are just left out. Players are just left out of their squads, etc. But obviously, speaking of midfielders again, Andy Irving, the forgotten man at West Ham. We talked about Lewis Orford slightly. Against Ferencváros and Dagenham and Redbridge, he's contributed with a goal or an assist. He's become quite a bit of a meme at this club, just because he was the forgotten man. And we haven't actually announced this signing. We signed him last year. We never announced him because I don't know. We just never did. We never really had the whole PR behind it. But this guy was kind of impressing in the first game. He seemed to play well in the second game, going off what people are saying as well. Again, we'll see how he is against Premier League opponents. We face Wolves next week. We face Palace the week after that. I'm going to try my best to see if I can do watch-alongs for those games. And we'll see what what we can do for that, because I won't be able to do watch alongs for actual West Ham games, but preseason games I can see we'll see what I can do about that. But Andy Irving, left-footed guy, played in a right 8 role from what I've seen in both games, and he seems to be a decent passer, decent on the ball, etc. And this makes sense to, again, while we haven't pushed for midfielders straight away, if we feel like we've got them at home, Freddie Potts, Andy Irving, and Lewis Orford in a 6 and 8 position. Are these guys the answers already? Are these guys the answers? Will they be ready? Because that would actually solve quite a few problems. We wouldn't have to spend extra money, even though we're actually not in a situation where we're struggling to spend money, or where we have to sell to buy, as we've said multiple times already. However, in general, bringing an academy player, obviously that's good, but bringing an academy player that's actually good enough and not for the sake of it is even better. So Freddie Potts obviously impressed at Wickham. Lewis Orford, we need to give him a new contract. We need to actually sign a new deal. We can't make the same mistake with Mubama, etc. And obviously, I'd argue this guy's a bigger talent than Mubama. And also, the Premier League pace is a lot different to how these guys have played in, youth games and the League One and the Scottish League, etc. Because I'm pretty sure Andy Irving played for Hearts or Hibernian and played for one of those teams. Or I don't remember what team it was in Scotland, but he played there. No, Melon, Jonathan already put this down. Fuck's sake. You look, Gallagher's staying at your club. You have to accept it. Gallagher's staying at your club and no one's bidding for him. Just taking a piss, bro. Thoughts on Guilherme? So from the games that I've watched, the game that I watched against Ferencváros, I like him. And obviously went for a comp a couple of streams ago. He could go down the left, right, middle, etc. And he looks exciting. I'm not going to pin all my hopes on him. Purely because... Yeah, you can't play any of those positions well, though. But with Guilherme, he can go around the outside on the left. He can cut in on the right. He can play just behind the striker as well, from what people have said and stuff like that. I like the versatility. I feel like he's going to become more of a main player once other players are sold. So if in the future, if Mohamed Kudus is sold next season and Guilherme is the next guy, I reckon he'll play more of a part. I reckon he's still going to play in the first team a lot. He's definitely not going to play in the academy, but he's almost like a guy who's preferred on the right. And we need someone who could cut in on the right, and he's not right-footed. So he's going to pretty much play a similar position where Kudus and Bowen play. And I feel like he'll only get really more game time if those guys are injured on the right and in the 10. He might even just play on the left, and we might just have a lot of left footers. Like if we pursue this John Duran deal, for example, and we have Duran, Kudus, Bowen, and Guilherme as the front forward package, just behind. That's a lot of left-footed players. Don't get me wrong. There's not really much wrong with that, unless you have a right-sided, a right-footed player on the left-hand side, and then you can switch it up a bit and go in the inside or the outside. But other than that, I'm like what I see in terms of the intangibles and the attributes that he actually has, but I'm not going to pin anything on him in the first season. This guy's still a young player coming through. We signed him from Brazil. This guy is mainly for the future. I expect more from a Max Kilman, for example, a man that we've signed literally straight away, for example. A man we signed that's almost ready-made because of his Premier League experience and all of that stuff. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people said we actually played quite well in this friendly. Obviously, we did beat Dagenham Redbridge last year. We beat them this year. Take that with a pinch of salt. I can't play any interviews because copyright. But what was it? 2 days ago, another Mohamed Kudus quote came about with talking about Lopetegui as well. His style is how I want to play. This is how I want to attack as a winger, and there is a lot of freedom which allows me to do that. This is the most important thing for me, that I'm allowed to play how I want to. I don't know whether that's a jab at Moyes. That could be a jab at Moyes, but that's the thing. It's quite obvious that all these players that are our attackers are going to get a lot more freedom, and they're probably going to level up. Maybe not just in terms of goals and assists, but in terms of general performance. Because Mohamed Kudus was running through 4 players, under the Moyes system. Playing right wing, playing 10, playing left wing, etc. But he was doing it mainly on his own. So was Bowen. They were just trying to feed off scraps. But you can actually see players link up with each other, trying to play through the lines, trying to be better with the ball. And once they get used to the system, and you can see a good coach will coach the system, and you'll see it straight away throughout preseason. You'll kind of see how we play positionally, on and off the ball, how players play, etc. You're already kind of seeing that throughout highlights and games and training sessions and whatever, especially in the first game. So it's only going to get better from here in terms of how we play. They're only just going to get used to each other more. So I've got high hopes for Mohamed Kudus under Lopetegui. Obviously, he likes to just enjoy football as well, and he's going to enjoy his football a lot more by not sitting on the edge of the box trying to defend the other team constantly all the time. He's going to actually attack, and that's the great thing about this, is the fact that we've actually got a manager that wants to get the best out of the players that we already have. And due to our recruitment strategy, we're not just building for the past and building for the future and the present. We're building for both. Like, we're building both together. We're not just focusing on one thing. We're not signing 40-year-olds for the sake of it. We're not signing 16-year-olds for the sake of it. We're signing a bit of both so they can both gel together. We've got the squad so we can lower the age bracket because we already have 30 and 40-year-olds at this club. We don't really need any more. But if we're going to sign a bunch of young players, and we signed an N'Golo Kante, that wouldn't have bothered me as much. Now, obviously, more news outlets or whatever, these football accounts are like, they're still reporting on this Tomori stuff as well. Like, other people have given ex-West Ham employee credit on the first report, etc. And you're kind of seeing a lot more reports about it anyway. The thing is, would Tomori want to leave? I'm going to assume that AC Milan would want a 30 million sort of thing for Tomori. I wouldn't mind, honestly, because I like Tomori. I've always liked Tomori. I've always campaigned him for him to get an England call-up. However, I don't think it's going to happen because, as we said, centre-back targets are very hard to almost get because, like, people are going to want a replacement. And once you go later into the window, they're actually harder to buy because they want a replacement. So they're going to we want this much if we can't sign a replacement. And the centre-back price will just get higher and higher once we reach deadline day in August, etc. And it's the same with strikers as well. That's why we need to get a move on. If we want to sign a striker, a centre-back, etc., we need to get a move on with these specific targets. Like the Duran deal, the reason why that hasn't gone through is because both clubs, as people have said, apparently moved the goalpost for either side. But we need to get a move on. We need a striker. Whether it's a young striker or whatever, I don't really care at this point. But a younger striker would be at the most benefit to us because we have Mikel Antonio and Danny Ings. So there's no point having 3 strikers that are over 30 and all of that. And also, John Duran, I pretty much sold myself into trying to like the deal and see the vision, etc. So, honestly, can we just get this deal over the line? I'm kind of sick of hearing the same thing every week. We're talking with Duran. We're talking with these centre-forward targets. I'm kind of underwhelmed in general with the centre-forward targets because we lost interest in the Jonathan David deal. Lost interest. Like, I know we've seen a couple other reports with Ivan Toney deal, but people like to look at every report and just take it for gospel. I don't get the culture of that online, where I've just seen every report and be like, oh, that's going to happen and that's going to happen, and actually discussing it. I'm not going to discuss it if it's by some C-tier list source. I'm not going to discuss it. Simple as that. Unless it's some laughable rumour that I can literally laugh at. Like, that's why I thought the Kante rumour was only by The Guardian just trying to stir up stuff. It was actually somewhat credible. Like, the whole Jared Bowen to Newcastle thing was hilarious. That's why I made a video on it. But with the striker targets, I've been very underwhelmed, if I'm being completely honest. I noticed how Tony's asking for price and bombing hard. That's the thing, like, because he's on the last year of his deal, he's going to want to find like a load of wages as well. But also, his price tag that Brentford one seems to drop because of the lack of clubs that are actually interested now. Now, the rumours are West Ham and Tottenham are still interested. But it seems that Tottenham are also interested in Calvert-Lewin as well. But Calvert-Lewin is also very injury prone, so I don't see Calvert-Lewin even moving, even though he wants to leave Everton. Like Calvert-Lewin's stocks have gone down so low anyway. I've never been rated the guy like that anyway. But the Calvert-Lewin stocks, like he could have capitalized on that like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but not now. Not now. Why would you take a punt on Calvert-Lewin now? I don't see you moving to a club higher than Everton, and I don't really understand it. I don't really understand it. I've just seen that the Wolves West Ham game is going to be live on Wolves TV, so we'll see if we can get into that. We'll see what West Ham are doing about that. But obviously, there's a whole N'Golo Kante thing as well. But well, like, what generally, guys, like, why would that even come to fruition, etc. Like that would have been hard. It's already hard to get a player from Saudi. That's why we didn't get the Jota guy from Celtic, like in January, because the whole wages and stuff. Why would you even bother? It doesn't even seem like these people want to stay in Saudi either. It seems as if like they're moving for a year and they're already frustrated. Like, I thought, like, apparently there was rumors about Benzema already leaving Al Ittihad, but where would he go now? He's already moved to Saudi from Real Madrid. He's not going to go back to Lyon, and he's already on high wages. Once you go to fucking Saudi, unless you get your contract terminated, like Henderson did, it's very hard to even leave the club. You wanted the money, so stay there. Like, if I'm looking through the news right now at West Ham as well, it's kind of just long. Like, just to see the same stuff over and over again. Over and over again. I'm going to go to the same, I think it's Darmesh that tweeted it. Oh, I hate Twitter when you actually have to search up their account names. Because it's just so specific. Like, I don't know why it can't just be more general. Where was it? No, this was 5 days ago. So he didn't tweet it. It was about like a week ago or 2 ago about Wan-Bissaka close. Look, Wan-Bissaka's asking prices this, and West Ham are bidding this, and Walker Peters asking prices this, but West Ham says this. Like, it's just boring at this point. The Kyle Walker Peters deal should have been done by now. It should have been done. You should be agreeing to the price. Stop lowballing. You don't need to lowball if we don't need to sell to buy it. I'm getting a bit frustrated. The Reece Nelson thing has gone quiet. It just appeared for a day and then it just disappeared again. Like, I'm kind of just bored of it. Like, we all know that we'll improve under Lopetegui. And Lopetegui will obviously have been promised all this money and signings and stuff. And we have spent money, but it's not been the same. It's not been the same. Because ever since the Kilman signing, everything's just gone quiet. West Ham have been linked to this player. It's been like last season. It's been like the year before, etc. This is the problem. This is a problem I have. Even though we have the intention to move, we have the intention to move quickly for players. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. I know we're still going after these positions. We're still talking with midfielders, right backs, centre back, left winger and striker, or forward, as they say, but left winger and striker. But get a fucking move on. Get a move on with these players and stuff. Because if you've got all these targets in the first place that you want to address, but I keep hearing every week about West Ham being linked, etc., it's not going to go anywhere. We're going to be wondering where the hell was the strategy in the first place. That's what people are going to be saying if we don't move quicker. I need to see something. I need to see a signing this week. I need to see it. Here we go this week. The Duran, here we go, was meant to be last week. Because we're close to an asking price, but all of a sudden both clubs are moving the goalposts. I need to see Walker Peters or Wan-Bissaka done. I don't even want Wan-Bissaka. I wanted Kyle Walker Peters. But I can see why the manager would want Wan-Bissaka. I need to see one of them done this week. I need to see West Ham progressing to sign a left winger, like a Reece Nelson that can cut in. No more left footers, please. No more left footers on the left wing. Because we've got that already. We've got Guilherme and Cornet. And I imagine when Reece Nelson signs, I imagine Cornet will leave. That's just the truth. I've heard mixed reviews about how Maxwell Cornet played yesterday, about whether he was had a lack of sharpness, whether he's lost a lot of pace, still not knowing the offside rule, still not timing himself onside. And that's kind of worrying because I wanted the redemption arc to be this season. I wanted the redemption arc to be under the new manager. And that the whole Maxwell Cornet thing kind of worries me a bit. But we need to get a move on, not only with transfers, but some of these players need to step up if they want to stay at the club. Like, again, doesn't want to be here, so he might as well leave. But he's still here, and nobody's going to want to pay for him. And we're that kind of club where we'll want back what we asked for him, what we bought him for. That's what we were asked for will be a similar amount to what we bought him for. That's the problem. Big up to the West Ham Massive. Good afternoon to you as well. Hope you're well. Like, obviously, West Ham's intentions is to address all these positions. I'm assuming 4 or 5 signings, but it is just under a month to the season. Like, the season starts on the 16th of August. We've got 3 preseason games left, 1 week each. And we're kind of running out of time slightly. I know we kind of did all of our things in August, and there is more time, and we don't, like, the rule isn't sign everyone before the season, but it would be nice to have the squad before the season rather than leaving it till the end of August. Just my opinion, because that's what we did last year when we signed all 4 players at the back end of last season. Now I'm fine with Steiden, by the way. I'm fine with Steiden. I'm a big supporter of the whole structure of the director, football technical director, stuff working with the manager, them working in the same direction and having the same philosophy, etc. But I will be critical still if we don't address some positions. Like, again, as I said, the striker one's the most important. The most important one for me is the striker. Right back as well, but striker. I will be content with the striker and right back. But with the occasion of keeping some of the, like, the Andy Irving, Orford Potts, if they're happy with that in midfield. But that would be the circumstances that I'd be happy with it. But I would think that we need more positions, more players and more positions. Any thoughts on the rumours about Fikayo Tomori coming in from AC Milan? Yeah, that's the thing. I kind of addressed it a little bit earlier where I think it's not going to happen, but I'd like him. I would love him at West Ham. I think he'd be a very good signing. I've been campaigning for this guy to be in the England squad quite a lot. Probably should have been in over Dunk. He probably wouldn't have played, but Southgate never watched, other leagues. But I would like Tomori. I would love Tomori. I wanted him when we first tried to go in for him, and he's evolved into a great player. So I think Kilman, Tomori, Mavropanos, and whoever the 4th centre back will be, assuming it will be Zuma, I think they'll be all right. And John Duran from Villa, we need to get a move on with that. I think, obviously, people have said, like, all the reports have said, like, close to agreeing price. But we need to actually get a move on. We need to actually agree the price because now it's both clubs are moving the goalposts. Why are you moving the goalposts now? Like, it's getting boring. It's getting boring hearing this stuff. It's getting boring hearing this stuff week in, week out. Like, we need to get a move on, as I keep saying. 5 goals in 35 matches isn't too impressive. However, a goal every 111 minutes makes him look a bit more tempting. That's the thing. You've got to take stats with a pinch of salt. Now, 35 matches isn't 35 starts. 35 matches. It's been a lot of him coming off the bench. He's barely started for Villa. I would take a punt on him because he's younger and he can develop into something good. Because the manager that we have, I think he wants to develop younger players. Big up Hannah in the chat. Big up yourself. Hope you're well. But with John Duran as well, like, he can strike a ball very well. I would take a punt on him. I'll give him a chance. But I see what you mean. Like, I wasn't totally inspired when I first saw this as well. Like, I have my reservations a bit like the Kilman signing, but I'll give Duran more of a chance because Duran is less of an established player that's played week in, week out. Like, he hasn't done that at all. Big up, please. Okay, Chelsea fans, please stop doing this. Hannah, you've just come in here. Jonathan's already did this. Melon has already did this. Stop. Please stop. Please. I'm begging. Gallagher's not coming to West Ham. Oh, man. Moyes isn't here anymore. Moyes isn't here anymore. Stop trying to sell us Gallagher. Maybe he could go to Tottenham, but nobody's going to come in for him. Oh man, I would. We're not going to sign a more fast-paced Souček to play with Souček or to play instead of Souček. Gallagher's not coming to West Ham. You're probably going to stay at your club. No one's going to come in for him. Your biggest club that was interested was Atletico Madrid. They're not bidding for him. Unless you guys want the Amarian guy from their club. That striker guy. But yeah, no Gallagher. If Moyes was still here, he'd want McTominay and Gallagher. No. No, Hannah. No. not in a million years. Not in a fucking million years is that happening. Luckily, Lopetegui wants footballers that can actually play football, So, it's what it is. Okay. I'm trying to find this thing where you could where streamers would put the players in of how their team is going to set up. I don't know what website it is, but I'm going to try and find it because I want to do the same thing with West Ham and Lopetegui, just going by how our squad could look. But I'm trying to find the website because I want to see if we was to keep the midfielders that we have and go for the targets that we have. I want to do a hypothetical sort of West Ham squad sort of thing. But again, I'm trying to find it. I should have tried to find this before the stream, but here's what it is. Let's say in goal. Let's just go through the squad so far. In goal is probably Areola, Fabianski, Fotheringham. Need another 6. I'm jealous of Alvarez. Yep. It's not going to be Gallagher, but we do need another number 6. So that could be an academy player that we might bring through. If it isn't, and that we'll see who gets sent out on loan throughout the coming weeks. Who's going to leave the club on a permanent, who's going to leave the club on loan. However, we need another number 6, but we'll see if that's going to be an existing player that we already have or a player that we need to buy again because Flynn Dowd's left, unfortunately. But going through the squad, Fabianski, Areola, and Fotheringham. Obviously, Fotheringham being third choice. Areola is probably going to be first. He's going to come back from international duty, probably around the Betway Cup times. It's going to be Soufal and hypothetically Wan-Bissaka or Walker Peters, but we need to find an alternative if we're not going to agree a price with either of them. Centre backs so far it's Mavropanos, Zuma again, and Kilman. I say one of them go. It could be whoever, but it would probably be a Sole from Salzburg if one of them was to go. Left back, Emerson and Cresswell. Unfortunately, Cresswell is still here. Number 6 are going to be Alvarez, either Norford or Potts, etc. Because Irving's more of an 8. Even Freddie Potts is probably more of an 8. I say Orford maybe if we were looking for a 6 or a new signing. Don't know who we're interested in when it comes to midfielders, but we need to get a move on in terms of that in the coming weeks. We'll probably be one of the more August type signings anyway. The midfield options: Paquetá, Ward-Prowse, Kudus in the middle if he wants to play there, Guilherme in the middle if he wants to play there, Andy Irving potentially, and Thomas Souček, dare I say it, and obviously Potts and Orford in those sort of more advanced positions as well. On the right hand side, it'll be probably more of a Bowen, Kudus, Guilherme, and maybe 4th choice Maxwell Cornet. On the left, Guilherme, Cornet, and Kudus, 3rd choice, Paquetá, 4th choice, etc. But I don't think Paquetá's going to play left wing anymore. I wish people would stop putting that in their hypothetical lineups. Again, Moyes isn't here anymore, so why are we putting him in these sort of lineups where we're Paquetá on the left? We're not going to see Paquetá on the left anymore. Lopetegui wants wingers that can express themselves. He's not going to play number 10s on the wing anymore, unless they're specialists there, and they're specialists in both positions. But that's not going to happen. And striker, right now we've only got Antonio and Danny Ings, and hopefully a John Duran or someone else. Luckily, we're not going to pursue Dominic Calvert-Lewin due to his injury record. Thank God for that. I never wanted Dominic Calvert-Lewin at this club, ever, never, ever. I would have taken a Tony. He's not going to come. Probably not. I would have taken a Jonathan David. Too many clubs are interested. But John Duran seems the most plausible. Now, don't get me wrong, 35 million seems much. But that's the market. It's a seller's market. It is what it is. We don't need if we've got the money, just pay it. If you've got the money to pay people, then pay it. Yeah, legit. Like that's what I was saying this earlier. Like 3 years ago, he could have used those stocks to leave Everton, but he's trying to leave Everton now, where he can barely put 10 games together. You can't play 10 league games in a row, playing one game a week. That's a big problem. The guy's made a wall. He got injured in like the second game week on his nose, came back and then got injured again, and then came back and got injured again. There was times where even Beto was so bad for Everton that they weren't even playing a striker. And even when he was playing, he couldn't really get up to the same sort of fitness, same sharpness, and the same momentum that he would have put in them 3 years ago. Like he's an okay striker. He's not that good. He's top 10, like top 10 teams in the league, not top 10, no, not top 6 or top 4, which is where we should be aspiring to be. Top 6, top 4 in a trophy is where we should be trying to go for, but no. Other than that, that seems to be it when it comes to sort of the news point of view. I'm still trying to find this website, but I'm probably going to do that in another stream if I'm going to be completely honest. But thank you guys for watching the stream. I'm only doing this. I hate playing you because you always beat us. We always beat you at home. You always beat us at your ground. So we kind of just beat each other at each other's ground, to be fair. No one wins an away game in the West Ham Chelsea games. I'm going to end it there, though. I will be streaming more often when there's news coming. I can only stream if there's news, guys. I can only, talk about things that are actually going to happen, not rumors, because the rumors are boring and the rumors are kind of just lazy. But make sure to like the stream and make sure to subscribe if you are new. My social media is already in the description of most of my uploads and the email for any inquiries, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.